What's up, JEFusion fans? This is Philip, and welcome back to another video. Now, this is probably gonna be the first time that I'm going to talk about Ultraman Trigger on this channel. So, yeah. But what I'm going to talk about here may have, you know, quite some spoilers. So, you know what? You guys go ahead and watch Ultraman Trigger. It's available on YouTube on the official Tsuburaya channel. So go watch it if you haven't caught up on the latest episodes. As of right now, episode 15 is already up on the channel. Or if you haven't started watching the series yet, you can actually start from episode 1 up to episode 15 and then come back to this video when you are ready, because again, there's going to be quite a spoiler for this video, and yeah, for the topic that we're going to talk about. So we are going to talk about the main character, Kengo Manaka. Of course, he is the guy who transforms into Ultraman Trigger, as you would guess. Now, while this video is going to talk about Kengo in general, mostly about him, I will also kind of compare him to Ultraman Tiga Daigo Manaka. So, sorry, Daigo Madoka. Yeah, the names are quite similar in sounding in some ways, but yeah, the callbacks are kind of there. But let me assure you that they are different characters. Okay? So, anyways, very much a spoiler warning here. But as always, our videos are not intended for viewers under the age of 13. So, please be advised. Now, let's get on with the video. So, like I've said earlier, Kengo and Daigo are two different characters. So, let's make it clear. Okay? Now, let's go back to Kengo first, because he's our main topic today. So, as we all know, yes, Kengo is Ultraman Trigger, but not just in the sense that Kengo transforms into Ultraman Trigger, but as of the more recent episodes, especially starting about episode 13, or yeah, so when Kengo obtains the power of the Eternity Core and becomes Glitter or Ultraman Trigger Glitter Eternity. So we do discover, or it is revealed to us, that Kengo himself is Ultraman Trigger. Again, not like a host Ultraman relationship. So this is our kind of first comparison with Ultraman Tiga and Daigo Madoka. So the difference between Kengo and Daigo in this regard is that Daigo is simply a host and Ultraman Tiga is a separate being. So how Daigo is able to transform into Ultraman Trigger, so we're going to have to maybe dig into the historical uh, so we're going to have to dig into the Ultraman Tiga lore, and it uh, so it says that Daigo came from a long line of people that came about 30 million years ago, who were able to bond with the giants that include Ultraman Tiga, and they do have this kind of special DNA that normal humans don't have. So this special DNA allows him to bond with Ultraman Tiga. Again, they are not the same person. However, Kengo is Ultraman Trigger. He is the human form of Ultraman Trigger. Now, in episode 1, we already see Kengo seeing visions of a figure way back in the past, that same time period, 13 million years ago. So it was eventually revealed again in later episodes that it is himself in the past. He went back to the past to become Ultraman Trigger, but now as of this point, this kind of still remains a mystery. So, as of episode 15, so Kengo already knows. Actually, the moment that he was inside Ultraman Trigger, or the moment he started bonding with Ultraman Trigger 30 million years in the past. So again, this is when he gets the Eternity Core's power. So while inside the body of Trigger Dark, at that point it was still Trigger Dark, not Ultraman Trigger yet. So it is revealed. So inside the Ultraman inside. So it turns out that Kengo was fighting himself all along, but now this is where things get a little bit confusing. I know, especially if you haven't seen these more recent episodes, which is why I'm asking you to watch them first to get the full context. But, anyways, so long story short, Kengo is Trigger. They are one and the same. However, at this point, like I've mentioned earlier, there's still a plot point that is still unclear. We know what Kengo is, we know who Kengo is, but we still don't know how he came to be. So, if we're going to go back to the first episode, we see Kengo with his mother, and actually, this is basically the only time we see her. So, Chief Izuma recruits Kengo, sends him to Earth, and at that time, he already knows Kengo is Trigger. He's already, or he may have seen Kengo bond with Trigger, maybe secretly watching. We don't see that happening, but basically, Chief Izuma knows that Kengo transformed into Ultraman Trigger and bonded with the statue that was Ultraman Trigger, and Kengo's mother seems to actually know about this. Chief Izuma was talking to her as if she already knew the truth. So it so it turns out, right? So Kengo was somehow born uh, a few years before the series, or rather, the human form of Ultraman Trigger came to be before sometime before the start of the series, because it seems that Kengo knows, or at least from his human standpoint, he probably has memories growing up, so he probably experienced being a child and growing up with his mother. So we never have talk about his father. Probably Kengo's mother, uh, whether she was married or not, we we don't have a clue. But whether that's an important plot point or not, we don't know yet. But even if like she raised him by himself, nonetheless, there was a person who raised Kengo or Ultraman Trigger as a human. But again, the mystery remains. How did he come to be? So this is the point that we're going to have to see in future episodes. And that's really an interesting thought. So it's definitely a spin on Ultraman Tiga. Again, while we do see some similarities, like both Kengo and Daigo joining the Guts teams that they were in, and we do know, I think it was around episode 8 that it was revealed that Chief Izuma was a human from a different dimension, and that dimension is Ultron Tiga's dimension. So it turns out that this, like, if not the same, a very similar giant of light exists, and maybe these giants, again, 30 million years ago, they probably were very much functioning the same, even though they were not technically or they were not essentially the same being. So, would I personally wish that Ultraman Tiga would make an appearance alongside Trigger? Now, we only see Tiga in Izuma's flashbacks, referencing Tiga. So basically, he built Gut Select, based on the guts that he was part of back in his original Earth, back in his original universe. So, maybe in one way or another, Ultraman Tiga would make an appearance. A wormhole opens, in space, or a wormhole opens in the sky, and then out comes Ultraman Tiga, swooping down to help Ultraman Trigger, which I think would really be exciting. Now, would Hiroshi Nagano be able to portray Daigo once again? I'm personally hoping so, or at least have him voice Ultraman Tiga. Like, uh, I would be satisfied with that personally. So even though you don't see him, as Daigo Madoka himself, at least have him voice Ultraman Tiga, and that would be enough for me. You know, have Tiga and Trigger communicate as if they were one and the same person. But that's just me. That's just how I want it to happen, or how I hope it would happen. So yeah. So what do you think about this twist on Ultraman Tiga with Ultraman Trigger? So uh, do you think that Kengo being uh, Ultraman Trigger is a good idea? Or, let's paraphrase it, or let's say it differently. So, do you think the writers wrote this twist, uh, you know, good enough? Or is it good enough for you? Or do you think it was quite confusing? Because I was confused at first, but after watching, like, oh, I think I understand what's happening now. But like for me, it's more of like, oh, so uh, Daigo and Kengo are very different. So they or we know they're different people, but how they function as Ultramen also, so they're basically different as well. So, anyways, this is just me with my random thoughts again. So, anyways, share your random thoughts about Ultraman Trigger down below. So, again, I'm sorry for the spoilers. Ultraman Trigger is available on YouTube on the official Tsuburaya channel. So you know what? I'm gonna link the official Ultraman Trigger uh, playlist, probably, if I can find it. I think I should be able to find it. So yeah, link is down in the description if you guys want to watch the entire show from start to at least the latest episode at this point, episode 15 as of this recording. So yeah, go check it out down in the link in the description. So yeah, check it out. So anyways, as always, thank you so much for watching. As always, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JEFusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.